This is Mr. Who's the Boss, and he's going to be talking about the gaming market and how it's starting to break, and it's not going to get any better, essentially. Well, it might get better if there truly is a bubble, but I don't know what's going to happen. I just know everything's going to get incredibly more expensive.
5. It came out in 2020 at $399, and now, even though it's 6 years old, it costs $599.
Why? Wait. $599? Hold on. PS5 retail. It's $599 for the PS5 Slim Edition and $899.99 for the high-performance PlayStation 5 Pro. Okay, he needs to be a little specific on that, but yeah. Yeah.
Nintendo's announced a price hike to their Switch 2. The Xbox has raised its price 3 times since 2025. And the scariest part is not even the extra money, it's what's happening around it. Because at the same time, PlayStation announced it's going to stop shipping physical game discs entirely. Xbox has axed 5 of its big game production studios and fired thousands of people in what's being called one of the biggest single layoffs in gaming history. All while Nvidia has started capping how many hours.
Good. Lay off more people, please. Start back from square one, find all the chuds, and crank out some games. That's what needs to happen. You know it. It's obvious. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows what needs to be done. The corporations just need to actually do it. You want to make those profits back? Kick out the lefty loony activists. Get these centrists who just want to make a good game. Profit. It's that easy.
A month you're allowed to play when using their services. The craziest part? Everything I've just mentioned is linked. This is actually all part of a single chain reaction that's already started in the gaming industry. And I don't see where it stops. To understand what I mean, if we were to take apart this PlayStation 5, inside, you would find 16 gigabytes of RAM, or memory.
See, that says a lot just on how well the PS5 is built. I have 32 gigs of RAM on my PC. But then again, it's running an operating system and everything. But look at the comparison that he's about to make.
Which it needs to be able to run games. A single AI chip from NVIDIA, the Blackwell Ultra, requires 288 gigabytes of memory.
16 versus 288 gigabytes. So that means NVIDIA has an incentive to print these over these.
18 PlayStation 5's worth of RAM. Now, it is a fancier type of memory than what's in your PlayStation, but it's made on the same production lines by the same companies. So every gigabyte that goes into this is a gigabyte that can't be made for a PS5. And the problem is when AI companies buy chips for their data centers, they don't just buy one. Chips are sold in racks, each containing 72 of those AI chips. So one rack equals...
So they're being bought in bulk. And if all the resources are going to be going to these AI chips, and NVIDIA and other companies are putting all of their production into those, and because those are the most expensive ones, they're going to put those on high priority. So that means PS5, Xbox, Nintendo, and even Valve with the Steam machine and the Steam Deck, their prices are going to go up too. Like, hey, if you're going to be buying from us, you better get in line before it even gets more expensive. So right now you have Xbox, PlayStation. They're trying to purchase as many cards as possible so that by the time they get to the PSX, by the time they get to Project Helix, by the time, even more production from the Steam machine happens, they're trying to get all of this stuff now because they know it's going to be jacking up more and more and more as the time goes. I predict that's going to go up another 125% in the next 6 months, maybe even less.
1,300 PlayStation 5s. Oh dear. And they don't just buy one rack. Racks are purchased in clusters. Last year, Microsoft switched on their first big cluster to help power the growing needs from OpenAI's ChatGPT models. That cluster was 64 racks in
64 per order. They ain't gonna be building PS5 chips, dude.
one go. 83,000 PlayStation 5s. And here's where it gets truly terrifying. Even that was barely a test run compared to the scale on which these new servers are being set up now. Just a year later, OpenAI is currently building out the Stargate campus that will reportedly hold 100 times the number of racks as that first purchase. 8.3 million PlayStation 5s worth of memory in one company's one site. That's almost enough PlayStations for every single household in the entire continent of Australia. And so when you factor in that there are also...
Wait, hold on. What did you just say about Australia?
That's almost enough PlayStations for every single household in the entire continent of Australia. And so when you factor in that there are also other AI companies, Meta, and their even larger Prometheus site, xAI's Colossus, supposedly the world's most powerful data center, Amazon, Google, and every other big tech company who's galloping headfirst into the AI wars, we have reached a point where AI data centers are now estimated to be swallowing up 70% of the world's memory output. 70% is going into building servers.
The thing is, I don't know. I've played with a lot of AI. I mean, I'm no real life fake wizard, and I know that he has implemented it in specific ways that I'll probably never be able to figure out. But just with how I've been messing with it, building apps, building Chrome extensions, I don't think you guys understand the rat race we're in. I think there is a bubble. I just don't know where the bubble is in regards to AI. Because everyone's talking about the AI bubble. From the way that I'm looking at it, the AI companies are there. They are not going away. From how I see it, it's sectors of where AI is being used that could burst. I don't think it's going to be one big burst. I think it's going to be certain sectors. And it's not going to necessarily because, the result will be a financial, there will be a financial loss as a result. But someone's going to do something really dangerous in a certain sector that AI is in. There's going to be financial loss. There's going to be a response. And then it's going to build again. We're just going to keep seeing this. Pop, bubble comes in. Pop, bubble comes in. Pop. It's just going to get better and better and better. And the bubble is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. That's my prediction from what my experience is with using AI in different segments. I just don't know how it's going to burst. And I don't think anyone can predict it. I don't even know when it's going to burst. Like, the burst could be 5 years from now. But I don't know what that means. It's like saying, when did Gamergate 1 end? No one really knows. COVID just interrupted it.
Services that we'd barely heard of 5 years ago. And that has left everything else on the planet that needs memory. Every phone, every PC, every car, every console, having to now fight over the small and rapidly shrinking pool that's left. Why don't they just make some more memory, you ask? Well, I don't think they want to. See, the entire world's memory supply comes from largely 5 companies. And if we're talking about the specific type of memory used to make RAM, that's only 3 companies: Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron. And these 3 companies could choose to invest tens of billions into new factories to be able to produce more, but that would take 3 to 4 years to build. And if there were to be an AI crash in that time, they'd have spent it all for nothing. And
so right now, even though business is booming and they can make more factories to make more chips, that's too much risk for them for a 3-year investment, where for all they know, by the time that those are built and running, the AI burst could happen and they would lose a ton of money, a ton of stock, and a bunch of land that they have to pay taxes on that no one's going to buy. Do you see the dilemma here? Damned if you do, but also damned if you don't. And it's big risk. The question is, what is the ceiling to AI? Is there a ceiling to it? I don't think there's a ceiling to AI. At least as far as I can imagine it. But yeah, if you were any one of those companies and there was a risk of there a burst going on and you just spent billions of dollars on 3 different manufacturing plants, your shareholders are not going to be having a good time.
why take the risk when they're currently raking in cash? These companies are currently lapping up 70 to 80% margins on their memory compared to the historical norm of 30 to 40% because of one simple fact.
Because there's a lot of demand on the corporate side of things.
that their new favorite customers, big tech companies, will pay absolutely anything for it. We are in a very unique situation where basically for the first time since the dot-com bubble, some of the richest companies on the planet, like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, are not even behaving like businesses. They're spending more money than they're even making from AI because the fear of losing the AI race has actually become bigger than the fear of debt. This is a
and especially with the government, the United States government has a huge interest of winning the AI race. Like, sure, people are worried about AI, ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini, you know, Anthropic is a little scary every once in a while to the point where they had to shut down Fable 5 so it wouldn't, destroy a government system. But every single American does have an interest in the United States winning the AI war. And we have an advantage in comparison to China, especially because they can't gather information as quickly as we do because they're all censored. They can't gather all the analytics and information and databases on our private information that we freely give out to companies as fast as the United States can. I think we're going to win regardless, but I don't want to take that risk against China. I don't think Russia really is in the running to the best of my knowledge, but I don't want Russia winning either. I want the West to win. I don't want China to win. I don't want Russia to win. I don't want India to win. I don't want South Africa to win. I want the United States of America to fucking dominate because the consequences are too high if we don't. And yes, we're going to be pissing off a lot of people and a bunch of, especially farm areas. I think there is a lot of unwarranted fear around data centers. I think some of the people living there aren't really being honest with themselves because we had to do the same things when, Ford made his factories. We had to build roads. We had to ask people to leave in order for a better tomorrow to create more housing. And the more housing that we created, the more veterans got houses, the more jobs were able to be sustained, the more families and births were able to happen. Sorry, not sorry, man. The one thing that I would adjust in regards to these data centers, just so that it would help the communities that, they're essentially plopping in there, kind of invading to a certain extent, is to have mini reactors to power their data centers, mini nuclear reactors to power them, just so that you can tell the community that you are putting your data center into that you're not even on the same grid as them. That's what I would do.
a very precarious situation for the world to be in. And it puts these memory companies in such a powerful position that it feels like they just decided to forget entirely about the consumer, with Micron actually quietly shutting down its consumer memory brand, crucial, to focus on these data center business.
Holy shit. They just shut it down? That's how much business there is on the big tech side, guys. Like when one of the biggest tech companies, tech manufacturing companies in the entire world just shuts down their consumer side of the business, we can't even fathom how much money is being spent. Billions upon trillions of dollars. To the point where they looked at the just regular everyday consumer and be like, I'm sorry, you have to wait. It's gonna take a little bit.
Customers. Now, new factories are coming. Elon Musk and Intel are building a giant AI complex in Texas, for example, that will also make some memory, but none of it produces anything meaningful before 2028. Plus, almost all of that new capacity is being built for, you guessed it, the AI customers anyway, because, well, you already know now. So how much more expensive has this memory really become? Well, to give you an idea, within just 3 months at the end of last year, the price of a single 16GB stick of RAM rose almost 300%, according to Tom's Hardware's RAM price index. Asha Sharma.
300%. I am so lucky that I got my PC when I did. How much I spent? I think I spent $1,400 on my Meta PC, 32 gigs of RAM, and I paid an extra $200 for 2-day shipping.
CEO of Xbox, has said the price we paid for console storage components was over 2 times as high as we paid last fall. These costs have since doubled again, and as we plan for the 2027
So it's gone up 4 times for Xbox.
holiday season, we expect another significant increase, taking us over 5 times the prices we paid only 2 years earlier.
So the prices of RAM for Xbox has gone up 5 times in 2 years. That is absolutely insane. I don't know what we would do. There needs to be some sort of market disruptor. But there isn't one. And what? Elon is making a little bit of memory, but that's not going to happen until like 2028. So just got to hold fast, I guess.
5 times. Memory is getting so expensive that, according to a report from TrendForce, on some high-end graphics cards, the memory on the card, known as the VRAM, now accounts for up to 80% of the total cost. Let that sink in. The actual clever bit of the graphics card that you should be paying for, the GPU chip that companies like Nvidia spend billions designing, is on some cards now costing less than the basic memory that's soldered around it. Here's where it starts to get problematic. The implications from these higher prices...
Don't talk about Xbox and Fallout. It's not going well.
...are bigger than they first seem. Because when the prices go up, of course, fewer consumers buy. Like if we take PlayStation, in May 2026, just after the price hike, Americans bought fewer PlayStations than they had in any May since the year 2000. That's before the PlayStation 2.
26 years. And May was the lowest console purchase month in 26 years. That's impressive, Sony. How's that physical disc decision? How's that going?
Who had even come to America. Xbox had the worst May in its entire history, and it's much bigger than just PlayStation and Xbox. Any company that makes any type of computing hardware. I was speaking to the director of one of the big Windows handheld companies, the companies that make this kind of stuff, and his words were, man, Windows gaming handhelds and computers are dead now. No company will launch new products if the memory prices continue to rise. It is crazy now. How bad do things need to be for a director of a currently operating business to call their own business dead? Even like Valve, typically the strongman of value gaming, just launched their Steam Machine, a box that's barely as powerful as the 6-year-old PS5, for $1,049. It's not going to be the next Steam Deck, put it that way. So all of a sudden, the home console, the bastion that for 30 years has been the affordable way to game, the thing your mum could buy you at Christmas, is quietly drifting away from a staple to a luxury purchase.
You don't have good gaming unless you have poor people. That's why I suggest, look, I know a lot of you probably have consoles, but if there's a console that you would sell, or if you have the money for a PC, I would do it sooner rather than later. Go to Facebook Marketplace, go to Costco, see if you could find a deal somewhere. Anything with like a 3060 to a 4060. Like, get something and buy indie games, buy the good ones that come out. You know, wait till prices drop on Steam. I would do it now.
Now, gamers aren't going to stop playing games, right? But are they going to have to start changing where they play them? Very possibly. And that's where things get concerning. If the PlayStation 6, for example, launches at 2.5 times the base price that PS5 did, $1,000, which sounds like an outrageous prediction, but is actually what the current latest rumors are suggesting, then it's not a crazy thought that far fewer people are going to buy a PS6. And you might think, okay, I mean, that's fine, I'll just wait, I'll buy it pre-owned. But it's not about just us, the individual. See, the entire console gaming industry relies on momentum. These companies have to sell tens of millions of these consoles right out the gate to prove to developers that their new platform is worth developing for. It means that a new console is basically either all or nothing. You either sell tons of boxes, have developers flooding to your platform to make games for those users, and then even more users buying your console because...
See, that's why Shift Up, I think, made an amazing decision going fully independent away from Sony. And it was like, you know what? I think we can do everything on our own, guys. Peace. We'll still, put our game on your platform. Did good. But since we put our shit on PC, your shit didn't cut into all of our shit. So we're gonna be releasing it everywhere. Hope for the best. No hard feelings. It's okay. You can check out Even Evie, Hey, we'll even send you the nude models. Okay. That'll be on us for free. They got out just in time. And From Software essentially has stayed independent the entire time, or at least the majority of the time, and have just made separate deals here or there. Hey, they had Bloodborne with PlayStation. They have something with Sony. I think they have a future thing with Xbox. But it's the independent studios that are going to win here. I think that if I can predict anything closely, I think it's the independent studios that are going to win. I think the game studios that, and I'm excluding Nintendo to a certain extent, or actually to a majority extent, when regards to Xbox and PlayStation, anyone who is still connected to those brands, like exclusively, are gonna have a bad time. That's something I can tentatively predict.
Of those games. The Nintendo Wii is a great example of forward momentum like this, with the console eventually hitting 101 million sales. Or you bottle it at the start. You don't manage to get that initial launch trajectory. Game devs don't want to take the risk, and then pretty much nothing you do is going to save your platform. Like the Wii U, which came just after the Wii, and in its entire lifetime has only hit 13.5 million.
Ooh.
So my question is, how on earth are Sony or Xbox going to build any kind of momentum with their next-gen consoles if they're priced at $1,000? If the PS6 launches and only 5 to 8 million people buy one in the first year, whereas 80 million people are currently on PS.
See, that's why PlayStation, Xbox, to a certain degree, their boxes were subsidized to a certain extent because all the money was in the games, not in the console. That's why, like, we haven't really till now seen $1,000 consoles, because companies were able to eat up the cost. Because if you have a console that's gonna last 6, 7, 8 years on the shelf before you start seeing real degradation, and then technology gets better, it's like, all right, we made all this money and we have enough in order to subsidize again. So as long as you, like he said, have that forward momentum, they can do that. The problem is, because of the AI rat race, that fucked everything over. Not only for the current consoles, but for the future ones. So we're fucked everywhere, guys. We're fucked everywhere, and we don't know when it's going to stop.
Fives? Which platform are developers going to prioritize their games for? Obviously the old one. Sure, they'll make a version that runs at a higher resolution for the latest hardware, but any sensible developer who's going to have to spend maybe half a decade pouring everything into their next game,
they're going to be relying on the older generations of consoles. So at least from what it sounds like Mr. Who's the Boss is saying, I think he's essentially saying, we now have an incentive for studios to make games for the PS5 and Xbox Series X and PC, not for the upcoming systems, because those studios don't want to, put all that investment into something that's not going to sell. So this AI chip issue is affecting in so many different directions, every direction. It is universal. Universal, everywhere. It affects your bidet if you have one. Everything.
Is going to do everything to make sure that it's PS5 users who are getting an optimal experience, because that's where the money is. So now there is even less reason to upgrade. And the spiral descends. Because here's the thing, Sony more so than Xbox is a little bit protected in the short term. If no one buys a PS6, then they do still have this giant PS5 install base to sell subscriptions and games to. But the install base of a console is like a melting ice cube. Consoles break, they get sold, they get retired, and players do slowly lose attachment and stop buying games for it across its lifetime. They drift over to PC, phones, or just out of the hobby. Normally the thing that...
No one drifts over to phones. There's only one demographic that drifts over to phones. We know what that demographic is, and they don't drift there. They've been there the whole time, and it's women. And yeah, I could probably say that there's like 10 to 20% of men, we'll play a little game here or two on the cell phone, but we know where a majority of their time is. It's either on the console or it's in front of a desktop computer. And yes, I'm including handhelds, not cell phones. Just because it's mobile, because you see a lot of like data analysts try to like put the Steam Deck with the cell phone. Two very different things. I hate when I hate when researchers try to combine those in order for women to look like a larger part of the gaming ecosystem.
Replenishes this pool of active users is the next-gen console. So if the PS6 ends up too expensive to do that, then the paying population for companies like Sony is going to shrink every year with nothing refilling it.
The loop.
So, if these companies want to continue to maintain their profits, they have to claw back money from other places. And as far as I can see, there are 4 ways that they could do this. The first lever they can pull is subscriptions. I think these companies will raise the price of subscriptions and will make it feel more essential to pay a monthly fee to get the experience. I mean, Xbox tried an enormous price increase at the end of last year to its Game Pass, then realized they went a little too far and pulled it back a bit. But it's still more expensive than it was. And Nintendo's already started jacking up online costs 2 months ago in Japan, so who knows how long till that becomes global. Lever 2 is game prices. And we've already been seeing a lot of this before the memory crisis. Like $60 was the default price for a game for 15 years. Then it jumped to $70 in 2020, only to now start another jump to $80 just 5 years after. If things carry on like this, we might be seeing the $100 video game sooner than we'd like.
We technically already did. I mean, we got Rockstar saying, oh yeah, it's the deluxe edition. That is $100. Hint, hint, wink, wink. But you can get the basic for $80. The $100 is going to be here within the next year. I know it. You know it. It's obvious.
The third lever is control. This is what we've just seen happen with Sony, announcing that from 2028 onwards, they're going to seize distribution of physical discs. And this might seem completely unrelated to what's happening here, but the key thing that this move achieves for Sony is rerouting a lot of the money in the gaming market that wasn't previously going to them, back to them. Because it means that you can't sell your games anymore. When games are digital, they are tied to your account, effectively shutting down the entire secondhand market. It means that if your friend wants to play the same game you're playing, you can't just lend it to them. They can't just pop over to eBay and grab it for $20. They have to make an entirely new, maybe $80, maybe $100 purchase direct to Sony. And
yeah. This is why morons who defend, like, oh no, you know, it's just digital games. What's the huge issue? Because you're taking away a market that actually provides for poor people. You have all these communists that, you know, are like, oh, we want to support poor people so that they can afford all the things that, you know, rich people can. And they go, hey, if you take away this market, then that actually lowers the prices for video games and lowers the barrier of entry so that the classes can actually play the same games. You still are like, no, don't hurt the billion-dollar corporation. And I'm like, so wait, you're a communist who is supporting the billion-dollar corporation, but you support poor people having nice things, but you want to prevent the thing that allows them to have nice things, but for cheaper. What? You are a confusing individual. Stop it. Be consistent.
That doesn't already sound like a problem. Look at this. On my PlayStation right now, if I want to buy, say, Immortals of Avian, a game that, safe to say, flopped pretty hard, Sony is currently selling that for £69.99. That exact same game, I can pop onto my phone, go onto CEX, and order the physical edition for £5. It is crazy to think that this second option could just disappear. And crazier still, that this is how Sony prices games while these other options still exist. What are they going to do when there's no other option? To clarify, when Sony accesses the discs, you will still be able to buy their games at other retailers, but you'll be buying a download code that still has to go through the PlayStation Store to get you the games.
I don't know what I expected.
So Sony will control the price, more so than they ever have been able to with discs. I wouldn't go as far as to say that Sony axed the disc because of AI, but I do think that Sony axing discs is a sign of a squeezed, desperate industry, and that squeeze is largely brought on by this AI boom. And even if these discs don't officially die till 2028, it feels like the beginning of the end is now, with GTA 6, maybe the biggest game launch in history. But the only physical thing about the physical edition is a download code, at which point...
What's the point then? You know what I kind of wish? I have this idea that there's gonna be some sort of third-party company that will just try to partner with all these first-party companies, be like, look, we'll eat the cost and we'll make the disc for you. Because gamers are just that fucking stubborn. We'll make the discs, we'll make the hardcovers, we'll do everything, and then, you know, we could sell it at a premium. And we'll even make the drives to, you know, type in via USB-C. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm just saying that there's a chance it's going to happen.
They might as well just be digital only. And Nintendo, too, because their game cartridges rely on the same type of flash memory that's rocketing up in price, publishers on Switch 2 are increasingly shipping dataless game keycards, like Elden Ring.
Dataless. Good luck transferring all your shit from your Nintendo Switch to your Steam Deck. Bye-bye.
It's a cartridge in a box that doesn't actually have the game on the cartridge, just a key that downloads it. So when you put it in, you're the one who has to download it, and you're the one using up your internal storage instead of theirs. And the fourth lever that these companies can use to recoup their costs, the darkest one I'm getting to. But for the time being, can you see how it's already getting more expensive and just worse to be a console gamer? This is even leading to some insiders claiming that while Sony originally planned to launch PS6 in 2027, that it has now been delayed to 2028 or later. And whichever way this turns out, there is absolutely no doubt that we're about to see slower progress in games becoming next generation. And there's even a supposedly claiming that the next gen consoles will ship with less RAM than originally planned and a lower speed bandwidth, as if there were.
Wow. So this whole AI boom is actually lowering the capabilities of the upcoming PS6 because Sony can't take the risk to go 30 gigabytes and have to go through 24. At least that's the rumor. But at this point, yeah, I could absolutely see them doing that.
Already enough reasons to be concerned about them. I was originally wondering, one upside of AI is that maybe you don't need that new hardware. We've already seen with NVIDIA's DLSS 5 tech that AI has the ability to massively upscale the resolution of games, make them run smoother, and even...
Yeah, but they're not technically using it right. Because the way they're optimizing is for the DLSS 5. They're not optimizing for native first. Like, hey, guys, get the 6PS, have that be the baseline, then use DLSS 5 and all the other shit to, you know, up the digitally enhance the frame rate and the ray tracing. Just get the basics down first before you try to add on to it, because then things will run a little smoother. I mean, obviously there are some reasons for this, especially on how they build it. Like, let's just say, like if you're looking at the Last of Us Part 2 and the way that they do it, having a base way for ray tracing just to be there. Like before, let's just say, okay, there's a bug where when I throw a zombie through a wall, it glitches out. And rather than, you know, putting all my individual lights, deleting them and then putting them in a different spot, I just have, you know, an algorithm, DLSS 5, ray tracing in order to just have that dynamic lighting built into my system rather than placing them there manually. Like, that saves on a lot of time, but it also isn't the best way to optimize a game if it's there from the start rather than later on, right?
Improve the lighting in real time. But alas, most of this tech can only run on new compatible AI hardware, which the current gen consoles are just not. Unfortunately, it's not just gaming companies and gaming consumers who are losing out in this spiral, because the final lever that brands like Sony and Xbox are going to have to pull is cost cutting. Like I mentioned, Xbox has actually divested 5 big game studios, including the people behind massively popular titles like Hellblade.
And they need to fire more for completely different reasons. This has nothing to do with AI. This has everything to do with incompetence.
Psychonauts, and in the process also axed around 3,200 jobs. This is one company's...
More! Cut more jobs, please!
One set of layoffs. And still, it means 3,200 potentially talented level designers, graphic designers, voiceover artists who were previously working on the next generation of games, who there's a very good chance are just not anymore. Keyword, talented. Reportedly, the layoffs even include around half of the team at id Software, the studio that basically invented the first-person shooter with Doom, Quake, Wolfenstein, and more. Now, imagine if on top of everything else...
Good. More. Until they bleed, until it hurts. So they never do it again. So it lasts for decades. I want them to hurt so bad and have the pain being so ingrained into their mind, body, and soul that they go, hey, you know, maybe this woke shit isn't the way to go. It's incredibly unpopular. It makes us look like assholes, and nobody likes not making money, so we can continue making things that we love. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Fire more. Do 20% more. That's what I want. You know what? 30% more. And start with the Fable team.
The higher prices, the dirtier tactics, the reduced focus on next generation, that we also start getting fewer big budget games too, because there's fewer people to make them. From an industry trade analysis in May 2026, a higher hardware entry price changes the shape of the next install base cohort and feeds directly into the lifetime value assumptions that justify a green light decision at the publisher level. Or,
well, guess what? If there are less employees, The market, I don't see this happening, but the market may adjust and we'll see more $60 games because of it. These layoffs actually open up the potential to going to $60 games as long as they can hold out on the prices of the AI chips for the next few years. I'm not saying that that's likely. I'm saying it's possible.
In English, publishers decide whether to make a game based on projections of how many consoles are going to exist in the future to sell it to. This memory price surge has reduced the future projected install base, which means that games are being killed at the pitch stage right now because of RAM prices, and we're not even ever going to know which ones. And I think there's a very good chance that this also affects.
Good. Take the risk yourself. Get the loans, take the risk, do it for home. What, you just expected Sony, Xbox, and all the other platforms to do it for you? No, how about you do it? Do it yourself. Put up your own money. But how much money do you think I've put up for my YouTube channel? I have a monthly subscription for my video editor. I have YouTube Premium so that I'm not interrupted with ads when I live stream. I spent, God, a ridiculous amount of money on AI trying to build tools and video assets for my said videos. I'm sorry, I'm taking risks. Come on, developers who have been suckling the console teat. Why don't you put your money where your mouth is? Do it. No one's stopping you. Unreal Engine, free. Well, I mean, there are costs. What are the other ones? Godot, completely free. There's no even like install license bullshit. Unity, they've gotten better since that whole kerfuffle. Stop relying on these on these big box big tech companies. Do it yourself. Few hours a day. Literally no one's stopping you. And with AI, you can make it a hell of a lot faster. Use the thing that is killing your job for you to get ahead. That's what you do.
The innovation in games, because doing new things is a risk. When projected install bases shrink, it means that the threshold for something to become greenlit is going to become tighter. So the games that make it through that are increasingly going to be those easy, safe wins. Games like the new Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced, a beloved 13-year-old game that's been rebuilt cheaply, targeted at hardware people already own, and absolutely filled to the brim with in-game monetization. Or for another example, Jason Schreier recently reported that Obsidian, one of the other top game devs.
And no, we're not going to be talking about his video that came out today. We're going to rely on Smash to go through that.
They're ending work on a new unannounced RPG game to work on the next iteration of Fallout, the safe, known entity. These are
good. Good. You know, Obsidian did very well. New Vegas. Make a sequel. Make another one. Make a Fallout 5. While Bethesda, jerks off in a corner or whatever they do.
dark times for video games. I mean, EA is even going all out right now on trying to create a new standard for how in-game advertising works. And they're not scaling them back. They're actually...
Why don't you just learn from Capcom? Like, I know that Ubisoft is trying to do this, but Capcom, with their RE engine, has created an engine that is passed along with a ton of assets that go to other games from completely different IPs. If you actually look into Pragmata, you will see very similar assets from the Resident Evil games in Pragmata. That's one of the reasons why Capcom 1 is killing it. 2, how they're getting games out quickly, because they're reusing assets and repurposing them. That means that they can focus on a great story, great gameplay mechanics, because they don't have to do a lot of these side bullshit, because they're making all the assets in-house and then sharing it with each other with the other teams. Now, Ubisoft did have this idea. EA did talk about it, but EA, they're switching to advertising. And the general audience is going to eat it up.
Building a platform that would let advertisers in almost real time buy ads that will then appear onto billboards and objects that you will see while trying to play your games. Now, you would hope that there will be limitations.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that. Like, especially, like, look at that. Like, that's not a bad thing. That's something I can see in Rockstar. The problem is that we don't trust the gaming industry. It's like, okay, are you going to get creative with it? Do stuff like this? You know, see if it can match with the immersion? Or are you going to fuck it up? Majority of us believe you're going to fuck it up. Can you please prove us wrong, EA? For once.
Ads that will then appear onto billboards and objects that you will see while trying to play your games. Now, you would hope that there will be limitations on what can be advertised where, but I am horrified by the idea of dropping the big bucks on Ghosts of Yotei, being knee-deep in feudal Japan.
Oh my god, that's such a good point, Spellbinder. Well, the thing that I wonder, though, will this include... Oh, man. The thing is there going to be an always online mode? That's the big question. What's going to be offline? What's going to be online? What ads are going to be licensed, but then taken away? If you guys didn't see, there was a game that got removed from the PS3 store. I think it was Grand Theft Auto. I think it might have been Grand Theft Auto 3 or 4. Apparently, man, I forget what the game was, but the license expired on it. And I believe it was a Sony exclusive. You can look it up on Twitter.
And katana drawn, cherry blossoms falling, only to turn around and see a giant sign for...
Yeah, essentially, and also with the advertisements, again, you're going to be moving incentives because a game like Ghost of Tsushima or Ghost of Yotei, because people totally played that, Moriarty. People totally played it, Colin. The gold standard Circana told us so. That means that they're going to have incentive not to build games like this, though, set in feudal Japan. Even for the Assassin's Creed series. It's like, okay, hard to advertise stuff in feudal Japan. That's just a reality. So you're going to see executives trying to pitch these studios. No, let's do something like NBA Street Basketball. Great game, but probably not what the studio specializes in, right? They're going to try to push modern day settings just so that we can have modern day advertising. I guarantee it. Oh, actually, see, that's the thing. Are they going to make the brands work? Because what if there's a collaboration and there was Nuka-Cola flavored Coca-Cola here in the real world? Like back in the day where you'd see like different flavors when the Halo game came out. See, I'm not saying that like, remember when advertising with gaming was cool? That could be cool again if they don't fuck it up. That's all I'm saying. I'm not choosing a side here. I'm saying that there is a window of opportunity.
Car insurance discounts. And even if it doesn't go that far, think about it. As soon as there becomes a monetary incentive to show gamers adverts, how could that not start to change how game worlds are designed?
I just said it.
And even what types of games are made and how permanently online they need to be connected.
I only watched like 10 minutes of this. Maybe like 5 or 6 minutes of this. I actually called it. Called it right before he even said it.
Now, a lot of the issues that we've talked about, game publishers getting greedier, the layoffs, has been happening already in the background for years. I mean, especially after COVID, when companies realized that they couldn't sustain the revenues that they had when all we were allowed to do was basically play video games. So they've been finding all sorts of ways to recoup those costs, both in-game and also by culling employees. You're fired! Point being, the fire was already...
Fire more.
Already lit, but the AI crisis stacked on top of this already strained industry is like the fire brigade showing up with cans of petrol. The problems are now accelerating.
Yeah, it's like I said before. Things actually would have been relatively normal for the next generation of consoles if it wasn't for the AI race. Like, sure, things would have been slightly more expensive like it usually is in the last generations. But because of AI, just like Arsha Sharma said, in 2 years, RAM and memory prices became 5 times more expensive.
So fast that, yes, there's still a possibility that the memory crisis suddenly starts to ease. I hope it does. It is possible that this AI bubble that some people are calling it does just pop entirely. But the worrying thing is, if they don't, how much more can console and game prices keep going up and demand keep going?
See, that's what I'm saying. Is there a ceiling on this? And I don't know where the ceiling is. It's all digital. And the possibilities are endless. So the question is, where's the demand going to stop? What's the where does demand stop for something that has the potential to do anything? How can anyone predict that?
Down before this entire business model for a games console as we know it becomes unviable? I don't think very long at all. If the AI industry carries on doing what it's doing, then there's one of three things I could see happening, and I don't think any of them are good news. One, cloud gaming, like Nvidia's GeForce Now, becoming a more popular alternative, so that Nvidia can rent us the graphics card we can no longer afford to buy and own, and we can stream games from their servers for a monthly fee.
Yep, cloud services.
Forever. And this isn't conjecture, the service is growing.
Taking away ownership.
Racking up 30 million registered users, with industry analysis actually citing the hardware scarcity from this memory crisis as one of the big three drivers of that. 30 million is a huge amount of people. Not an entirely fair comparison, but that's basically the same number of people that have bought the current gen Xbox Series S and X combined. And what makes this so depressing that it's almost funny, Nvidia just this January has enforced a 100-hour-a-month playtime cap on paid GeForce Now accounts. Obviously that's not going to affect every user, but it paints quite the picture of what the world could look like when you don't own your hardware. The second thing I could see happening is older classic games becoming not just something that you revisit because you fancy a bit of nostalgia, but something that you settle for because it's a whole lot more affordable. We've already started to see this on PC, where the majority of all PC playtime now goes towards games that are over 6 years old. And a recent survey from Tom's Hardware, a publication that's only really going to be read by PC enthusiasts, finding that 60% of their readers won't be upgrading any hardware for at least the next 2 years. And then the third situation is...
Oh yeah, I'm not going to be upgrading anything on my PC. 1, can't afford it. 2, works just fine. Why would I change anything? Sure, I could get, upgrade from the TI, maybe even a little bit, but how much is that really going to do for me if I have a kind of a mid-tier CPU, right? Like, there's not really a point.
Mobile gaming becoming more of a default. See, all tech is getting more expensive, right? PCs, consoles.
For women. Mobile games are for women.
And that includes smartphones too. But people are still going to buy a smartphone because it's considered much more of an essential than a games console. So if the user base of the smartphone remains steady, and if anything continues to rise, while the pool of people who can keep up with the increasing costs and difficulties of being a console or PC gamer falls, of course I could see a situation where developers are much more incentivized to put their eggs into the mobile basket. Am I happy about that? Hell no. Console games are held to a certain standard that mobile games just aren't. And it's not like you can just make console games and then put them on mobile. This has been tested time and time again. Resident Evil 4, Death Stranding, Assassin's Creed Mirage, and commercially, they largely flopped. They cost near console money and barely anyone bought them because mobile gaming rewards free-to-play, battle passes, and in-game currencies and adverts. So the future that I'm worried about is not your favorite console game, but smaller on a phone. It's this entire industry where the only economically sane thing for a game dev to do is to build endlessly monetized, free-to-play machines. Games that are not designed around spectacle and hardware-pushing experiences, because no one has...
And he's not really talking about ownership all that much. Like, he's mentioned the subscriptions and what the future's holding, but what is the consequence of not being able to own the software that you buy and only be able to have access to a license that could be taken away at any moment? That's kind of... I mean, this is a big video for him, like even for him. So it doesn't surprise me why he's not addressing too much of it. But God, it's going to be such a huge, huge aspect to what ownership means in the future, just in general. The thing is, gamers are the only ones that fight back. And I think this is one that's where they're going to be the last one standing, which could mean the last one to lose. But we'll see.
The hardware, and instead are all about just reusing safe IPs that have worked before, remaster after remaster, made by fewer and fewer people. And it's about what we lose on the way, from the games that you can no longer borrow from your friends, to the graphics cards that you might have to borrow from your not friends. The industry will find a way to claw its money back from the one group of people who can't pass that.
And right now, I think we learned that, I think Sony got like 70% of the tariff money that they spent back from the government. I don't think it's going to make a dent of what they're doing right now, but good for them. I don't even know how to feel about that. I really don't.
Cost on. That's us. I'm a console gamer at heart, but I've actually noticed myself becoming more of a mobile gamer these last few months. I'm currently playing a ton of Pokemon Champions on my phone instead of the Switch. And even my second favorite franchise, Monster Hunter, their next game is mobile only. And it's just created yet another reason why Surfshark VPN, our sponsor, has a permanent place in my control center. Because the moment that your game...
Wow, I thought that this would be sponsored by a gaming studio, which would have been hella ironic. But no, VPN. Interesting.
Moves to your phone, your gaming moves to the internet full time. You're playing on cafe Wi-Fi, hotel Wi-Fi, airport Wi-Fi, and every one of those networks is a vulnerability. So the fact that I can just single tap here and know that every account login, every payment detail is all encrypted before it leaves my phone is a massive peace of mind. Especially since the rise of AI is actually making it much easier for scammers to use that info to convincingly deceive you. And unlike the...
I just use Proton VPN. It's free. You can download on your phone. I think you can have it on your PC as well. Super easy. I don't use it all that often, but it's good to have around just in case you're like, I'm a little suspicious of this website.
immense price creep that we've seen across the entire gaming industry, Surfshark's price is still as low as it gets. With Code Boss, it's $2 a month for an unlimited number of users.
Oh, wow. That's actually a pretty good deal. Not gonna lie. But with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, we have been streaming for almost 3 hours, which has actually been kind of the usual what we've been doing. And we're gonna do what we usually do since it's past 8 o'clock. We're gonna be rating Mr. Smash JT. So at the very least, just remember that you are somebody, I am nobody, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Hey, thank you for watching this clip from my live stream. Please comment below, like, and subscribe. And be sure to subscribe to my main channel, where I do all these live streams and have my independent videos where I do deep dives. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, you are somebody, I am nobody, and I hope you have a fantastic day.